You're listening to the M.A.V show, episode number 22, the effects of anime and video games. All right, everybody, welcome back to the M.A.V show.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hi.
I'm your host,
If you're,
Kivante, KV for short.
I'm your
And-
co-host, little brother.
I'm Rocky. I'm cilantro.
What?
It's whose line is it anyway? He's like, welcome
Which is a dope
to
show.
it's like a Golden Girls or something. I don't know what he says. But he's like, I'm something spice. I'm Old Spice. And the guy's like, I'm cilantro.
Wait, I was going to say, whose line is it anyway was a dope show, okay? Like, that show kept me, like, laughing during the whole entire show.
It's probably one of the most decent improv shows that there is. If
It
not
really
the only best improv. I mean, I'm not so sure. I'm learning more
Wild
and
and
more about
Out.
improv.
Well, now it's considered improv.
Yeah, that's fair.
for a different audience though.
Yeah, for a totally different audience.
Yeah,
but-
I would say whose line is it is an all around audience because it's jokes for everybody to understand.
kind of.
When I watch Wild and Out, I don't understand half the stuff they say
How?
because I'm not up to date on all of that stuff.
He's not up to date on the hip hop community.
I believe it.
I'm barely listening to what is his name? My sister introduced me to him. I was listening to him yesterday. I have to find out. But Mac Miller. I'd never really listened to Mac Miller till recently.
How are you?
And
I love how we bring up the hip hop culture, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm listening to Mac Miller, like the guy who's not black, but okay."
Oh, okay. Do I have to say something
And
black? That's
and-
racist. We're doing it now. I'm leaving.
and
brown.
he's dead too. Not to
And
say
he
that's
is-
bad about the dead, but I mean he was pretty decent. I mean, like, he was good. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
What?
You're talking about rest in peace to the dead. Not only rest in peace to Mac Miller, but rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. You know, that king passing sometime soon. Yeah, that was. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not so sure how y'all feel about it, but yo, it hurt for me.
Yo, seeing him pass, like, it was really, really hurt. Like, come on, the Black Panther, like, it was crazy. He's been fighting, what was it, colon cancer
Yep.
for the past 4 years, and during this time, like, Black Panther and all these other fantastic movies he's done actually, like, came out, and nobody ever really knew that he was actually fighting all this stuff, or, going through
Exactly.
this battle. So, Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. But on a lighter note, you guys can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. Give us a follow on some of those social media platforms. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. It helps us tremendously.
Please go check us out. And also check us out on our website, the Mavericks.com. I don't know why I keep thinking MAV show.
Yeah.
But Mavericks.com, guys.
And leave a comment how cute I am. Make me feel
Yeah.
confident.
This
Bam.
fool. This
I'm with it.
fool.
I'm with it. There you go. Asking you shall receive.
So how we want to kick this off? KV, you want to start with your week?
Yeah, sure, right now, man. My week has been pretty mellow-ish. I've been chilling, man. I've just been chilling, playing video games. Like, I'm still rocking with the new Apex Season 6. Once again, I know I've been hearing a lot of mixed views. Not
Because the Evo
necessarily
shields
on
are
the
terrible.
Evo shields are pretty good. It sets the weak from the strong. It separates. So it's either you're gonna make your shots and level up your shield. I'm glad they kept it that way versus just finding random shields everywhere.
Mm.
Because, like, you can take a long while before you even find a good decent shield or a level 2 shield, or level 3 shield, or like, it would take a minute. But I do like the new Volt gun. It's like a great new favorite. Rampart's decent, but overall, like, it wasn't really necessarily any new big changes. But I'm enjoying season 6 while waiting for something new to kind of come out.
What about you, Rocky?
Just playing a lot of Warzone again. Me and my buddies all got back into it. We've gotten a few wins under our belt. One of them I was kind of mad because I died 4 times in a row for my team. They spawn me, I fall in, I would attack a group from behind, just get riddled with bullets, and then my team would push them and win. And it happened every time they respawned me until they won. Other than that, I'm not really doing anything. Way more Wasteland. This made me mad. I was playing Wasteland 3, and I beat one of the bosses, but I have a companion. I have Animal Whisperer, so I had a deer fighting, or a stag fighting on my team. The stag critted the boss, dropped her below 80% of her health, and she goes, "Stop, I give up, take me in." And I was like, okay, but guess what? The conversation was initiated with the stag. The stag can't talk, so the stag couldn't answer, so I got stuck there, and I have to quit and restart that entire boss fight again. Yeah. I was like, what is this trash? I was like, I literally beat her, and this damn deer is the reason why I can't do this.
I'm confused.
What?
So, what game is this again?
Wasteland 3.
And your
What is Wasteland
conversations.
3?
I told you about that last week.
Oh, you did.
I was gonna say your conversations can be initiated by the CPUs.
Well, the problem was, I don't think it was. It's usually when you deal damage, it's usually your players who are dealing damage. Well, the deer I had on my team was just lucky enough to get a crit hit on her, and it dropped her below just enough health for her to give up. But when she gave up, I was like, why can't I answer this? Why can't I transfer authority so my teammate can answer the question? And I looked at it, and the picture is her talking to the deer, and the deer's looking at her with a question mark box over his head. And I was like, are you serious? I can't answer because the deer is in conversation. So I hope it gets fixed, but I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm already like 90% through the game. So I don't mind fighting her all over. I annihilated her the first time. It ain't gonna be a problem the second time.
That is quite terrible.
Yeah, it's funny though, but
Quite interesting.
I mean, like that would make me honestly like upset. Like if something as simple as that happened, yeah, no, I
Well,
probably stop playing the game for a minute. Like you're on timeout.
I did. I've done that before. Our last time we were playing, we played about an hour, and I went to quick save, and I scrolled too fast and hit the quick load, and it loaded me back an hour. And I was like, all right, we're taking a break. We'll play tomorrow.
But I guess as far as my week, just been chilling for the most part. Just been moving around, getting stuff done. Uh, a lot of stuff that actually I've been trying to do as of lately is gonna be said into today's episode. As a matter of fact.
Really?
I like where this is going.
Alright.
All right, but speaking of that, let's segue into it.
Wait. Real quick. Um, Rocky, last week you did give a quite of interesting story about your whole uh job position and everything. Do you want to talk about it a little bit more and maybe update for the audience?
Oh yes.
Because I was really interested. Like you told me right before we started the show, because like I really wanted to know and find out. Because like to everybody who's listening, we don't necessarily talk too much during the week. So like I said, that's why when we kind of get together, we got a lot of energy. But go ahead and tell our listeners your update.
All right. So preview of last week, I was told I pretty much threatened my boss that I want more money because she's giving me more of a workload, and my journeyman quit, or not journeyman, my lead quit, and I know how to do his job. So I asked her at one point when I threatened her, I was like, I want either his job or I want a full-time modeling position. Modeling as in not like models, like walk down runway. It's
Yo,
work, construction
he
modeling.
been working that catwalk.
Yeah. I told her I wanted those positions, and she flat out told me no. And I said, okay, I want to put my 2 weeks in, and she didn't like that. So long story short, they let me go, but the head boss or the owner of the company told me, come back on Monday, have the weekend to think about it, and talk to me. So I came back on Monday, like they asked. I walked to his office, and honestly, he just said, okay, go. That was it. So I told him everything about my boss, how unfair it is, how I've been working all hard for her, and I'm not getting anything to show for it. Her daughter, who has no experience, is getting a higher position than me, and it's bad as it sounds, she's dumb as rocks. She can't help the field. She can't model. She can barely spool. And I'm sitting here like, I may not be able to model, but I have a bit of practice. I may not be able to spool because I was never taught. I'm like, but I know everything about the field. I know everything that'll need. But they're going to throw her into a position that requires you to at least know one of those, and she knows none of it.
Mhm.
So my boss or the company owner was like, okay. And that was about it. After that, he was like, all right, 3 to 4 weeks, you should see some change. And then when I left, I was like, yeah, I've won, blah, blah, blah. And then all the foremans in the field were telling me, you're dumb. Why you're dumb? Why didn't you have somebody in there? And I was like, what do you mean? They all said, nothing's going to change. They were probably asking you for 3 to 4 weeks so they could find somebody to replace you. And I was like, oh. And they're like, you should have had him write it in paper that you're going to get either more money or a new job title, or you should have had somebody in there as a witness so that you have somebody to back you up. He goes, right now, we all have to just go off your word. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, so he's like, good luck, I guess. And then my old lead called me on Thursday drunk, and he was getting all kinds of mad at me because the foremans in the field let him know. And he was just hammering on me like, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? I taught you better than that. And I was like, I'm sorry. Well, Friday morning, he calls me when he's not drunk. And I was like, oh, you going to talk me out of it? And he goes, no. He goes, I know what I said. He goes, I'm here to reinforce that. He goes, I want you to go in there and demand that you get paid more or a better position. And if they say no, leave right then and there. I was like, okay. Well, it was more like he was telling me, or put in my 2 weeks. But since I have sensitive data on my laptops for work, they'll probably let me go that day.
Really?
Yeah. It's trade secrets. I'm not allowed to have my laptop. I'm not even supposed to take it home, but I take it home with me every day.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I mean, everybody else does. I mean, the modelers are working from home, and their data is way more sensitive than mine.
Hmm.
Okay. So, what do you think is going to be your next move then?
Well, come Tuesday, I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to ask for a meeting with my supervisor, and I'm going to demand that I get paid what I should be worth, or I want to be paid as a lead, or I want to become a full-time modeler. And I can tell you right now, 2 of those positions are going to be told no. And being paid more, I bet she'll give me like $1, and that's not enough for me. I didn't just work my life away with her just for her to tell me no or give me $1.
I agree.
Stand up for your rights.
And more money.
Yep.
And for what you're really worth.
Yeah, definitely. I've done so much work last week. Like, even though I know I'm going to leave, I'm not going to just say, screw you to the field. I still work hard. I do what they want me to do because the field needs me. So I know that I'm going to work hard for them. She might want me to do more, and I just tell her no. I don't care. She can fire me all she wants, but she's not. They have nobody in the field to work my position at the moment, so they're not going to just fire me.
Mm.
But yeah, I guess we'll find out in the next episode whether I have a job still or not.
Find out next time on the M.A.V. show.
Bran, bran, bran. But yes,
I like the sound of that.
you'll know, and hey, it's okay though because they only hold your badge for 3 months, so I'll get a 3-month break. I'm gonna work on my physique some more. I'm already down 80 pounds. I don't know if I ever told you guys that I was on a lot of weight loss for a while, and I'm down 80 pounds. But definitely got to get back into it since the whole virus thing hit. I've gained about 15 back. I've been working on it again.
What's Planet Fitness is now open. Do you have LA or Planet Fitness?
I have Planet Fitness, but I'm not 100% sure about going back because the last time I tried going back, it was just a whole, okay, the gym's open for 2 weeks and it's closing again. I'm like, ugh.
At least you're not like my gym. My gym became like 24 hours, and like they just had did that. And then as soon as the Corona thing hit, they closed that down, opened it back up for like a week, closed it down, did it again, and now it's just like 24 hours. Don't even try it. And it just sucks.
Yeah. So I decided I have a little set thing in plan. My brother has weights in his room. I was going to use his weights on my after my runs. I was going to get in the morning. I'm not the best runner. So I bought rollerblades and I looked online and it says rollerblading is pretty good for, help building up stamina in your legs and everything. So I was like, I love rollerblading. I want to get back into it. So I'll get up early, rollerblade for about an hour, come home, eat my breakfast, probably wait a couple hours, then do some arm workouts, and then maybe skip a day on arms the next day and do abs and stuff like that.
Nice,
I mean, I got
nice.
3 months of free time, so.
Mhm.
Rollerblading, huh? I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like actually like a pretty cool thing to get into.
It's a lot of fun. I used to do it a lot, but I left at my uncle's house one day. It rained. They got rusted. Never did it again. But anyway, we should be good from here on. So let's go. What's the first person going for the topic of the day?
But all right, guys, our topic today is well, just like it's in the title of our show. How has anime and video games affected you? And I kind of really want to dive deep into like what kind of imprint did it really leave on us? Because even though like I want to kind of really go beyond a little bit of just saying we just watch it every day or
To
we
go
just play games
further
every day.
beyond. Sorry,
You
it's my
know,
little joke.
uh, and like we this is what like this is what we do because we're not just affiliated. We're not just you know paraphernalia
Fans.
about it. Yeah, we're not just fans. We just don't want to tell people. Yeah, we play video games. No, like I'm a gamer. Like I'm
Like
about that life.
I play.
Yeah, I'm in the 1% of playing games. Like if I get into a new game, a couple of months, oh, I'm instantly top 500. I'm top 1%. Like if I chose to be, like you can definitely get there. And so or like even with TV shows and stuff, like you get into the character lore, you buy, not only just the paraphernalia like the T-shirts or merchandise, but like the characters and stuff, like leave an imprint on you. You know. So
Exactly. And like KV said, we're not just fans, and by that we mean like we've done certain things. For instance, the biggest example is this podcast. Anime has affected us. Video games has affected us in such ways that we want to go further with it. We want to start projects with it. So that's what this is episode's really going to be all about.
Yep. And so, who would like to start this off? I know I can, but does anybody else want to?
Rocky.
I can start.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a long story, I guess.
That's
But
perfect. That's what this episode is for.
as growing up, I was split between two households: my mom and my dad. They were split. Neither one was a good influence on me. Well, I can't say that. I want to say the bad things they did in their life helped influence me to not do that kind of stuff.
That's
That's
good.
But
good.
when I lived with my mom would love to keep me busy by just playing cartoons, and I would watch W6. I think that's what it's called in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
W
DW6
CW. Yeah,
or
there you go.
CW or I
no, not CW, like WB on like
no.
Kids
Channel 6.
WB. Kids WB.
Oh, okay. I used to
Yeah.
watch that, and I remember I saw Sailor Moon at in a store once. I think I was at like Blockbuster with my mom, and I told her like, "Oh, that looks a cartoon. I wanted to watch it." So inadvertently, she bought me the Sailor Moon movie, and I watched it. And as a kid, I didn't realize I would cry to a movie like that. I
Oh,
cried
really?
to it. I want to say like 8 or 9 when I saw the movie, and I cried, and I loved it. And then
Oh,
I
dang.
made her buy me the TV show, and I started watching the TV show, and I loved it. And I think that's where it started for me because after that, I've never watched anime again. What changed was I think when I went back to my dad's house for the year, my dad got me a Nintendo 64, and I think that's where the addiction started for gaming.
Okay.
He bought me an N64, and I remember my first game to the day is Gem Force Gemini, and
Force Gemini. I think that sounds familiar.
it's 3 heroes. I don't even want to call them heroes. 3 bounty hunters, something like that. They're sent to a place in space, and they're like, "Oh, we need help." I call them Furbies. I don't really remember what their name was called, but they were like little bears that were being attacked by like ants and big bugs and stuff, and you got to shoot them and kill them and stuff. And I thought it was the coolest game ever. But
Sounds so familiar.
it was also one of the few games my dad would actually sit down and play with me with. And I know I love my dad to death, but my dad never had time for me. Never. He worked all the time. He never wasn't working. The only time I'd see him is when he woke me up for school. So like on Sunday or Saturday when I'm playing games, he'd be like, "What are you playing?" And I'm like, "Oh, Gem Force Gemini." And my dad is awful at games, but you know what? He made the effort to play with me, and I
Right.
absolutely loved. That was my thing. I felt like I got close to my dad because of that,
Yeah.
and I was happy for it. I loved the fact that my dad would play a game with me. He doesn't
Yeah.
he doesn't do it no more now, but I like to now that I'm so old. I showed him VR finally. It was the funniest thing ever. He was like, "This is so cool." He's all looking around my room and he starts walking. I'm like, "No, don't walk. You don't walk around. You stay in one spot." and he like reaches out with his hand trying to touch stuff, and it was really cool to watch. I did it to my stepmom as well, and I haven't got to show my mom yet. Moving my computer to her house is a little harder,
Right.
and setting up, but definitely would like to have show her. I love the reactions of older people, I guess, when you show them something like that, and
Mhm.
No, it's same. If I get the chance to show my mom or even my dad VR, I probably will do it. Like to see their my mom would probably scream and freak out.
yeah, I put mine where my dad was not in space. What was it? Like a dock for boats and stuff,
Okay.
but like from pirate days. So it was nice to
Mm.
hear the birds and everything. My dad loved it.
You hear the old "Arr," the old pirate accent just being slung around.
It was great. Um, but it really helped me progress as I grew up. Um, honestly, I think there's also the bad in it. It really took away from my sense of reality, I think, because I loved playing games so much that I wouldn't want to go out with my friends. I wanted to play games. I didn't want to. I didn't want to go to school parties or school plays because I wanted to stay home and play video games.
I
And as
feel
much,
you.
my dad couldn't fight it because my dad wasn't there. And my stepmom, well, let's just say in the beginning we didn't have a great relationship, so she kind of just ignored me. So it was easy for me to just stay away from the real world.
Mm.
And then when I finally did break that cycle, I think I was like in 6th or 7th grade. I was pretty overweight, but this friend I made, he was like, "Yeah, let's hang out outside of school." I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So I'd always ask, and my dad would say no, and I was like, "Okay, I guess I can't." And then my stepmom, her not caring, she'd just be like, "What does your dad say?" I'm like, "He said no," and she's like, "There's your answer." And that happened for years, all the way up until I think my sophomore year. My dad finally changed jobs, and he worked mornings. So when I got off of school, I could see him. And I was like, "Oh, can I go to my friend's house?" "Oh, sure, just come back before it's dark." And after that, that's when gaming also helped because I met some of the few coolest people I ever met to the day playing video games at in high school. They taught me like, what was I playing? My buddy Robert, he taught me to play Halo. I'd never played Halo in my life, and I played Halo with him. I was awful, god awful, and I played with him every single day after school. I'd go to his house and play.
What I just want to say real quick, I'm gonna have a long conversation, like with Robert about that whole little Halo thing, because that's probably why you're more of an Xbox fan versus a PlayStation fan. So I
I
gotta have
I
a long
I
conversation
won't
with you
lie.
about
I
that.
feel like that is because I did have two buddies. The other guy was George, and I went to his house to play PS3 Black Ops Zombies all the time, all the time. Me and him would just could be like round 30. School starts in 10 minutes. Let's go, and we just dump the game. We just run to school. It was always like that. I'd wake up at 4 in the morning, get to his house at 4:30 in the morning, so we could play zombies all morning, and then we'd run to school, usually late.
I feel it. That's a good childhood though. Little moments like that is actually kind of what makes like everything else seem like easy, kind of. So I feel you.
Yeah, and about that time, I was no longer able to see my mom. So at this point, I hadn't seen her in about 10 years. So she was out of the picture. So it was mainly just my dad. And yeah, I think this is when it happened. I think my sophomore or junior year it happened. I was hanging out with one of my friends, Who Man, or Cameron. I always call him Who Man because that was his nickname for the longest time. And he introduced me to his group. And his group, as bad as it sounds, they're a bunch of losers. In high school, I was not a loser. I knew I was in football, I was in basketball, I did tennis. I hung out with the band kids, but that was for a different reason. And it was I wasn't I was popular. So more or less to speak. I was popular. So hanging out with them, I'm like, man, I've never met these people before. And they were like what I was. I was secluded. And that's where anime messed me up. Because when I met them, they all watched anime. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I got into Bleach. And I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of like Sailor Moon. And then I got into like a lot of anime after that. A lot where I stayed home, didn't go out with friends, only wanted to hang out with them. And I kind of detached myself from my popularity. And I don't blame them. Some of them are cool to this day. Some of them I wish I'd never had met. But it helped me keep in line who my real friends are. Because once I graduated, I met a plethora of people that to this day I still know. Devontae, you're one of them. I uh I met you
For
in
sure.
I met you working at Taco Bell. That was
2012,
2012. 2012. Yeah, it was right after I graduated. I got a job at Taco Bell. I met you in 2012, and I think it was great because I don't know how to make friends anymore based off of high school. It was easy. I knew what to say, but once I detached myself, I lost all that ability. Now it's just like, hopefully they'll initiate friendship with me, or I'll talk about a subject and hope I beat around the bush enough that they bring it up. And I think that's what happened. I remember you were sitting there and you were talking about something, and I think we ended up bringing up Sorta Online because I talked about video games. And
Oh, so like the crazy part is I remember is when I actually kind of I don't know if I was starting to work back at Taco Bell at the time. Um, I remember Emilio.
yeah, I loved Emilio. He was funny.
Yeah, so like he was like, oh yeah, like you guys were talking about something, and he was like, oh yeah, Devontae plays video games, watches anime too. You were like, what? I was like, yeah, bro, like,
I won't lie to you. It's because you're a big black dude who's buff, and it was. I know as bad as that sounds. It's just that when in high school, I hung out with those types of guys, but all they did was rap and tell me to work out and get gains. So when I saw you, I just thinking like, oh man, you're gonna want me to work out and be a member of society. And it was
Oh
quite the
my
opposite,
gosh.
actually. It was quite the opposite when I met you.
yeah,
He
I
said a
was,
productive member of society.
I was not a productive member of society. All I cared about was going home and playing my video games for hours on end. Like,
Yes, I remember.
oh my gosh, that's
And that I
go ahead.
think was the turning point where me and you after that we hit it off so well. It was even funny. Um, I actually re-met my buddy Felix, who I met in third grade. I had third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade with him. But he was, I don't even want to say he was a loser. It was more like I'd grown an attachment to this two popular kids so much that I was afraid that if they stopped being my friends, I would have nothing left. And they played a game called Ditch the Loser, and they'd run from me. And me being fat, I couldn't follow them, but I still stayed friends with them because I had nobody left. I was scared to lose them. I know it's bad. It's awful.
I was
I
about to
told
say.
because that the gaming what it did to me, I detached real hard that I latch onto people and I don't want to let them go because I'm so scared that if I let them go, then that's one less person I can ever see again. And I know these days everybody tells you like, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. I'm like, well, at this point, I've known him for so long that I still don't want to lose him.
I feel you. It's not that bad.
Yeah, and yeah, my Felix, I met him again. One day I was playing Call of Duty, I think on my Xbox 360, and he was like, "Hey, do you guys got room for one?" And I remember this message. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Who is this guy?" And he joined. I was like, "Oh, it's Felix. Hey, I haven't talked to you since grade school." And he's like, "Yeah." And then to this day, I think it's that was 2014. 2014 is when I met him again. And here we are, 2020, going on to 2021, and me and him to this day do not play games with each other. Like after this, we're gonna play Warzone. We already have our day set up. We're gonna go see Tenet probably tonight, and he's just one of
You're
those friends
seeing
who,
Tenet?
yeah, I'm happy movie theaters opened up, so I'm gonna go see that. But he's one of those friends that once I made it back to them, me and him are so much alike that I like to hang out with him. And it's funny because we both can make jokes about each other's single life and loser life because it's true. Like, I just want to find love, man. That's it. I hate anime for that reason.
You're not the only one, bro. Don't worry about it. We're all like that.
Not Devontae.
I'm
So
different.
I'm different. Don't talk to me.
I'm different. Yeah, I'm different.
But yeah, that's pretty much how it went for me. I actually did go to school though for programming. I always thought video game design was something I wanted. So when I went to school for it, I told them I want to be a video game designer. And they're like, "Can you draw?" I was like, "No."
I
And
apologize for getting you into that.
yeah, that and we'll get you could tell that part of the story because you probably remember way better than I do.
Mhm.
I just remember Fuko's Fury, which was I had a star shield and I was invincible for a bit. I remember that because I thought you made fun of it so bad because that was during the Clanadad times when I was watching Clanadad and I cried so hard. But yeah, I went to school for it and the lady's like, "Can you draw?" I was like, "No." So then she's like, "Are you good? What are you good at?" I'm like, "I'm really good at math. And I love math to death." And she's like, "Oh, programming will be more your thing. It's just like programming. It's all math." And I was like, "Oh, sweet. Well, year one programming, it was not horrible, but it was a lot harder than I thought. And a lot of it was like going to Google and asking Google the question because half the time your teachers explained it in like the smartest way possible. And I'm sitting here like, man, I don't even understand your explanation.
That's how it be.
So by year two, we took our design class, our game design class, or our game production class, and I was taking storytelling at the same time because I had 3 periods. It was like game design or game production for most of my days, like 2 hours. Then it was storytelling and some type of art class. I was put as lead music programmer, which I guess is I don't know what it really entailed. That's what he gave me. I had to learn Fruity Loops. I hate it. I don't know how to do music. So as a programmer, why did I have to use that? I don't know. I ended up hating it.
For those who don't know who Fruit Loops is, it's like what's the best way to describe it?
A music maker, I guess.
Like a
Yeah.
mixer, like close to and I just had one
Yeah.
in my head and I forgot.
I'm not a
it.
music guy, so
It's
Is
like
it something like Audacity, or is it
no, more on the lines for. I guess it's a software like Audacity, but it's more along the lines of like just for music. You can make your beats on there. You can record your tracks on there, all that such. But like it's like the starter kit for music makers, just like how Audacity is the starter for podcasters or something like that. Kind of makes sense.
I got that. Oh, but I ended up realizing in storytelling class that I absolutely love to tell stories. And I think this is where the anime part came in. But I loved telling stories. I loved hearing about them. I loved reading about them. I loved reading books. I just fell in love with it. I do it in my own off time. Maybe one day I'll grow a set and post it on Wattpad for people to read. But till now, it stays private with me. And
I will get him. I will get you guys the everything that he does. He's a phenomenal writer. He's a great storyteller.
I would say I would say great writer, dude. I'm practicing. I'm not saying I'm the best. Story wise, it might be good. I don't see. I criticize my own work horribly. You'll have to read it before you actually tell these people how
in
great
order
I am.
to what is the word I'm looking for? In order to move forward in your work or whatever you're doing, even though that you might not like your work, you gotta just keep pushing because just because you don't like it doesn't mean that somebody else will like it.
I get that. Long story short, there was school. I ended up dropping out, and I got a job, and that's the job at work to this day. Which is, I think, 2017 is when I dropped out at my last 6 months. And I stayed with construction, and now I'm a field coordinator at a construction site. And I like what I do. I like being able to interact with people. But to this day, anime really gave me pauses with, being how the ideas I have or how friendly I can be and how I view different perspectives, like the good guy's side versus the bad guy's side. How it's affected me in a bad way is it really pulled me from reality multiple times. So I'm kind of awkward when it comes to talking to I wouldn't say guys, but I wouldn't say girls either. If I like you, it'll be really hard for me to talk to you. If I don't like you and you want to be friends and we could stay actual friends, you'll see how different my tone of voice is compared to when I first started talking to you. Because I no longer feel scared to talk to you. That I'll screw it up and you'll leave. Yeah,
That's an interesting perspective of that.
yeah, I know, but that's how it's really done in for me. But I still game a lot. Don't get me wrong. Anime is probably like number 3 on my list. Number 1 is my gaming. I'll play every type of game except sports. Can't do it.
Sports.
I agree.
Can't do it.
I 100% agree. I'm not a bit. This is like the Street Williams, like back in the day.
Like NFL Street 2.
NFL Street 2. Oh my god.
Blitz the League. Oh, those are different. If I could crush a
yeah.
man's legs, I'm gonna crush a man's legs.
Break bones, shoulder fresh. Oh my gosh! Like I used to be like the dopest feature on the game. Like it was the best part, personally. The best part.
Well, that is mine. So I don't know who wants to take over from here, but
I'll go ahead and take over, KV. And I won't try to like make this like a long-winded thing, but I would say the
I
first
would
like
say go ahead, because like this is also a good way for people to get to know us. Like that right there was a dope one. So go ahead.
so I guess my start into anime, like my first like straight up start that I can actually remember was probably we had our uncle and he was like married to our aunt, so like our actual aunt blood related, so he was like through marriage uncle. I remember, at least this is how I remember KV. I'm not so sure if you remember the same. We were spending the night at their house, and then it was like close to bedtime, and then I walk into my uncle's and aunt's room and just to say goodnight, but I see my uncle and he's like watching some cartoon or something like that. I was like, yo, what is this? Come to behold, it was Samurai Champloo at the time, and it was like the first episode. So he was like, "Yeah, you could just watch it with me if you want." I started watching it. I think we watched just up until like episode 5 or something like that. But he's like, "Yeah, if you want to keep watching like all this anime stuff, I got a bunch of them." And then we started the next like series that we actually got into was Dragon Ball Z. We started watching through the Ginyu or the Ginyu Force saga. At least that's the one I remember like cold heartedly. And then from there on out, it was just like I got introduced to a whole new world. Then we started watching Toonami, which had like classics like Inuyasha, Big O, Fooly Cooly, just all these random assortments of animes. And then that's when Naruto came into the picture, One Piece, Bleach, and then from then on out I knew I was like hooked into anime, like it was never going away. I saw something and I was just like, yo, I have to keep watching this. And as far as from the video game aspect, the first like video game I remember playing was probably Ocarina of Time. Like that I can actually remember, like I didn't have my brother play it for me or I didn't have him watching it. uh I probably like played myself. Yeah, the Ocarina of Time was probably like the first game I ever played. um and then from then on out, I guess as far as it affected me in life, I guess I was kind of nerdy in high school. I really only wanted to hang out with people who liked what I liked. So I guess that's why I didn't have too many friends. I was a little bit bullied in high school, but I don't let that affect me today. I actually kind of let it fuel me today. Um, as far as like it's like affecting to me throughout my social life, I didn't let it affect me too much. I ended up finding people who did like the same stuff I liked. I liked like people who like watched anime like me or who were really into video games like me. I got to hang out with them. I got to just chill out with the people, and then from then on out, as it's affecting me today, I would say I ended up making the decision that I truly do love anime so much. I truly love video games so much. And I always think it'd be cool to be in a story like that. And I related it to voice acting. So, voice acting is my new career, it's my new pursuit. And so far, I'm still new to the game. I'm still an amateur, but I'm fully committed into being a voice actor now. So the biggest goal one day is to feature into an anime or a video game, and or a cartoon even. Like I honestly, one of the biggest cartoons I've ever wanted to be a part of, and it's not even something old. It's actually something today, Steven Universe. If I could have voiced in there, that would have been so intense. That would have been so cool. But as a whole, yeah, I would say video games and anime have affected me so much that I want to be in that world. I want to have something of me in that production. I want to be a part of it. And yeah, it's led me to a new career path.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So you want to just be in TV shows, or do you see yourself like doing video games and stuff as well with the voice
No,
acting?
yeah, that's what I said. Animes, video games, TV shows, and all that. Like anything that comes with voice acting, I want to do it. There's like the whole commercial aspect of voiceovers versus voice acting and all that stuff too. But yeah, I want to get myself into the game completely. I want to be, that I want that to be my career. I want to do everything about voice acting. And another aspect, I guess, another aspect of where anime culture has affected me so much, and by anime culture I mean like Japanese culture. I am actually taking up some Japanese classes, so I guess I should have started this
Oh,
episode off with uh Hajime mashite, Atashi wa little brother. And I know there's like a way to say little brother in Japanese, but I don't know how to say it yet. But yeah, if you understood me, that I said, nice to meet you. My name is little brother.
well,
Rocky, do you know any
ha,
Japanese?
no, I wanted to learn. Still want to learn, but I'm taking a step at a time.
Yeah,
And I
honestly, the biggest way to do it, and I'm learning through like the most basic way. I'm on a site called Skillshare. It's kind of an older, not really older site, but I see a lot of like old promotions for it. I've seen like not too many people actually like get into it, but it's a like $19 a month for pretty much all these people willing to teach you just whatever class you want to take. I took a couple of voiceover classes through there, and now I'm taking my Japanese classes through there. I got to, I'd say do it because I got to introduce myself in Japanese like pretty clearly. So yeah, it's kind of worth it.
I can see that.
okay. Hmm. That's definitely what's up. I still, what's crazy is I still can't wait till we also to like take a trip to Japan and everything. So
Mm, most definitely.
I'm definitely happy. Like one of us is learning Japanese too. Somebody got to talk to everybody. Why? And why everybody else is looking at it is just like, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what are they here for?
Honestly, a lot of people say like I get a lot of people telling me like, oh, Japanese is not that hard. You just got to commit to it. It's not the hardest language I'll say, but it's definitely like a challenge. Like there's hatakana, katakana, uh Goma. There's one more right there, and then there's Romanji. These are like different languages or different ways to spell, speak, and write the Japanese language. And of course, there's also kanji, which apparently is actually one of the more difficult forms, but it's really easy for me to get down. Um, but just like there's different forms, it's not changing the language exactly, but it's just different forms to speak the language, and it becomes a little bit difficult.
Okay. And I feel like trying to read kanji and everything, because I was trying to learn it once upon a time too. That's difficult because it just looks like a whole bunch of squiggly lines.
Yeah,
It's like somebody's.
kanji. Sorry, go ahead.
I said, yeah, like I was really trying to learn it and understand it. And I'm just like, yeah, I might just have to be just learn the words and stuff because to me, I don't know. It was a big challenge. It was a huge challenge.
Yeah, the kanji, someone said, like the teacher said in that I was watching. She said kanji is kind of the more difficult ones to learn. It's only easy, kind of easy for me because watching anime, I see these characters all the times. Probably the most easiest character and one for me to write is water. The water kanji is kind of like prevalent throughout the Asian culture. I don't want to say it is the kanji for everybody because it's not necessarily, but like if you go to any Chinese restaurant in America, you'll see like if they have it, you'll see like a sign for water in their fountains or whatever, and it's the same exact sign for in Japanese. So that just stuff like that. Like kanji is kind of easy for me just to pick up because I see it all the time, like in animes, in restaurants, and or wherever.
Mm. All right, all right, all right.
I was just like, KV, you want to pick up from here?
All right. So I kind of would say like to start my adventure off. Um, I remember when we was as kids. So me and you and our little sister, your older sister, my little sister. Um, we were all attending some other kid's birthday party, and while playing the jumping house, for some reason, our sister's ear, the back of her ear, got split open, and so we had to go to the hospital. And from there, while me and you were waiting in the waiting room, and Kifant and our sister, had to get her ear, kind of sewed back together or whatever. Like we were in the lobby just playing video games, you know. And the first game I ever really remember was uh, Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Oh no,
And
sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your story because I truly do enjoy the story. But for the newer population, this is we didn't have switches back then. This is like a I want to say an arcade game or something like that.
oh yeah, so like this was like in the children's hospital. It's on the Nintendo 64. Yeah, so this was like way
Not the
way
Nintendo Switch, the 64. Go back
oh,
a couple of generations and then you'll find it.
yeah, more than 20 years ago. God, we're old. Gosh, we're old. Um, yeah, and so like this is like where I get like my favorite color, forest green, from. Right when I was playing the game, when you first start, everything is green since Link actually starts in a forest. And I remember I didn't really even get that far into the game, but I'm all like that right there was the first time I could ever really remember playing a video game. Even before watching anime or anything else, that was my first time.
Mm,
And then going from there, like I've always just remember playing video games. Like I think it was the 64 before we really got the PlayStation. So I remember games like Turok, Mario Kart, Mario, all these games that like were the staples of the 90s back then. And then when
mm.
PlayStation, then we finally got a PlayStation. Our game was Tekken. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
Eddie Guerrero, King,
My boy,
C-
who wrong?
Huron, oh yeah, like these were all of our characters. I especially like Brian too. Brian was dope.
Funny
Mm.
enough, I
Um,
could never say who wrong's name, so I just called Warthog.
Don't you disrespect.
That's his name for
Don't
me.
you
All throughout playing Tekken was his
disrespect.
name was Warthog.
Who wrong,
wow.
bro?
Or
How dare
like what is his name? Heihachi? I think I called him Henkaichi. His name was Henkaichi to me.
Henkaichi.
you
Heihachi.
go to the corner. Go sit in the corner right now. Don't come
Funny
back
enough,
out until we tell you.
I got a corner desk. I'm sitting at it right now.
But to continue, like this were all like all the cool, games I remember. Also shout out to Star Fox too. Like, gosh, I remember Star
Oh
Fox.
yeah, nostalgic right there. Jeez, now I'm thinking about all the games that we Ninja. What were the other 64 games that we Torok? Oh my gosh. Okay,
Turok.
I could go on a tangent about that
There was
forever.
Glover. Like, there was like quite a few games back then. And then even going from there, like so. And I remember even as a kid, I remember used to having like other friends like trying to come get me from outside, and I used to be like, no, I'm cool. Because back then, mom used to have like a little basketball court for us in our driveway where we can go and shoot. And like the other kids in the neighborhood didn't have one, so they used to
Hmm
always want to come over in ours. And they'd be like, hey, Vontae, come out and play. And I'm like, mm, either I can go outside and play with you guys, or I can stay here and play the video. Go ahead, guys. Yeah, you guys can always go ahead. And so, to me, I think this is where I was maybe starting to become like slightly antisocial. Also, another game I remember, Rampage. Also, another shout out to that.
Rampage.
Um,
And sorry, I don't want to keep interrupting your story, but this is like how Rocky was telling us about him and his dad connecting and playing video games. I actually forgot to mention this, like the little my story too. What's it called? My dad would play. Remember Rampage with us. He it was a three-player game, so he would play the third player with us, and we would just go through the town, destroying up because that's what Rampage is.
hmm Basically, what the Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie was, almost like 15, 20 years later from the video games. Kind of weird.
Really weird. And they kind of, I heard it was good. I haven't watched it yet, but it was like, eh.
You've never. It was different. Like it wasn't really pretty similar. It wasn't. Um, yeah, like I said, it was. I just felt like that's where I kind of started being like, okay, I'm all about video games. I don't really care to be social or anything. And going from there, I think the next step was when I first started seeing, like when I started watching anime. But I didn't really know it was anime because I've always was big into the cartoons because of like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, um, like Beyblade, Shaman King,
Oh,
like all
Shaman King.
these, yeah, like all these were like the first kid shows of anime, that were first kind of coming out. So this is where
Mm-hmm.
we were always big into. Like, everybody had the Pokemon cards, everybody had the Pokemon video games on Game Boy and Game Boy Advance.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards and all that.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, yeah, this is what we're all about. And so when I was a kid, all that was kind of cool because that's what kids do. but like eventually it was kind of starting hard to find a crowd that could stick into that space. But even kind of going a little further, I started kind of growing. I found Toonami, and so from Toonami, even back then, this is where you had your Cowboy Bebop, your Trigun, your Big O, and one of my all-time favorites, Inuyasha. And so
Yasha.
yeah, so when I used to go stay with my grandmother, and she used to let you stay up all night and watch TV. This is where I found Toonami, and like even I had her and her sister, like my grandmother's sister, all watching like Inuyasha, and so like when I used to leave and have to go to school Monday through Friday, they used to always tell me what was going on with Inuyasha, and so I used to love it, like 'cause they low key got into it too, and so I mean, that was one of the first shows I used to remember. I remember DBC, Dragon Ball Z, around that time too, when he was fighting Frieza and Cell. But I
Mm-hmm.
was never really into Dragon Ball Z. Um, I guess I'll kind of fast forward to high school days. So high school wise, I was not necessarily considered a nerd. I was more of, let me say it like this: I could hang out with like the popular crowd, but not necessarily be into sports. But like I didn't even feel like I didn't feel like I even fit in with them just because like everybody was about different stuff, and I'm just like I kind of really want to go watch the new episode of One Piece, Fairy Tail, Naruto, and Bleach when it was really in the mid 2000s, and everybody else was like into sports and stuff or after school activities. I'm just like, man, I don't want to do nothing physical like at all. This is and so I wasn't really even into it. And so like this is like, and I really know it's like this is where my passion and stuff. This is all I wanted to do, all I wanted to think about. Also, I was like, man, like, and mom used to ask us, what do we want to do with our lives? I'm like, I'm gonna make video games for a living because this is all I do. All I use
Mm-hmm.
is want to go home, play video games. All I do is want to go home, watch TV. I remember like having a binge One Piece in the beginning. I used to watch like 2 hours before school and like dedicate the whole rest of the day till 10 o'clock in the morning, all the way to just like getting in a whole another 20, 30 episodes. Man. I also remember like during that time when the PlayStation 3 came out and you get to have like online friends. I actually made like a whole bunch of cool friends then. Shout out to my homeboy Derek, because I know he definitely listens. Um, like yo, this is around the time I met him. Like so I definitely have a lot of friends who like I still keep in contact like after 10 plus years who like I met around that time. Just because like all these people like we have like similar things of interest in. It was different from the people who I met in like high school and stuff. Different than all the regular kids. Um, I wouldn't say it it had an effect on me on my relationship side. Cause I've always been cool with the ladies and stuff. So like even being into all that, I would say for anybody even listening, if you're ever wondering how like to get a girl, like if you're wondering how to get her into like your anime or video game side, hey, if she loves you, she'll eventually get into it. I've never had a girl who eventually didn't sit down and watch like anime shows with me because every girl I've ever been with has been into them. Whether it be like I can't necessarily name some, but like with my current girl, like she's into watching old school like anime shows like Inuyasha and stuff because she's not into really shonen stuff. So like Violent Evergarden, she kind of likes Fire Force. Um, Let me see what else. It's like just different stuff. Anything that's not like too much of action, but like so, and like she's all for the video game too. Since she sees me and little brother play Apex all the time, she even jump on that with me. So like I've never had a problem in that department. But even to go a bit further, after high school, because I am a few years older than Rocky, I remember meeting Rocky at Taco Bell. And I was like, bro, because this is around the time where I was starting to apply for college because I've already been out of high school for maybe like a year or so. And I'm all like, we were having a conversation, and like, and this is around all the time like I've like seen Sword Art Online, and I was kind of at this point in my life like I didn't really know what to do because even though I did know I wanted to create video games and stuff, and like like I said, I ate, sleep, and crapped out video games, anime, and all this other type of stuff. Like I didn't necessarily know the right direction. But after like kicking talking with Rocky and stuff, I'm like, bro, we should definitely like create a video game. And I remember like us just having like these like every single day to where like our manager and boss like had to separate us. Like we can't work on the same shift, or if we worked the same shift, like they would tell us to be quiet and stuff. I mean, it was bad. It was horrible.
I
Like
hate
Rocky,
when.
like
Go ahead.
I
Go
was like,
ahead.
yeah, like Rocky, do you remember this stuff, bro? Because I
I
was more of
I
like,
remember it was because of the Sword Art Online. We wanted it so badly to be something like that, where we were kind of like how the guy was like Cures of Fought. I can't remember the guy who pretty much made the game, who had like the power to do anything. Like we were
mm-hmm.
GMs practically in our head, and that we would we would literally be running around for fun, just doing random things, just for the sake of doing it. And I remember the most thing I remember was us coming for like a whole day at work. We spent trying to figure out what abilities we would have, what would our ultimates be called, what weapon would we use.
Man. And like I said, this is where you had your star shield, and I was like, bro, really a star shield? And this is because Rocky's more of a support character. He's not more of a front lines person unless he has to be. But I'm like, I could just never wrap my head around it at the
Well,
time.
I told you it's because I play Call of Duty so aggressively and I'm really good at it that there is no support in Call of Duty. I am a one man army. So
Mm.
when I don't have to be a one man army, I don't want to be a one man army. I'll go be support all day. I'll stand behind people getting punched in the face.
Yeah, like so this is where we kind of really was really into it. Man, I miss those times. I feel like we gotta go back and maybe look at some of that stuff. Because we even was like trying to come up with like all different 100 levels of different bosses and stuff. Like you said, our own weapons and gear. Like it was really starting to low key come and mapped out. But yeah, so we decided I was gonna go for like web development to see what kind of like computer games. Rocky went for almost like the computer programming part, and 4 year gap. 4 year
The
gap.
time skip.
Time skip.
The time skip. The time skip, and coming the last few years, I kind of reevaluate what I kind of wanted to do and how I kind of wanted to still get into the industry. And this is where I kind of really started bringing the podcast together. I brought up the idea to my little brother. Like I kind of really wanted to help him with his voice acting. I'm all like, what's the best way to help him? Get him to talk on the mic every day or once a week for about a couple hours. And so,
Hmm.
this is where I was like, cool, let's start a podcast. Because, even before that, I was listening to a lot of different people. And I'm all like, yo, like, every single time my brother comes over to chill and hang out, or I go to chill with Rocky, or I go to chill with anybody, like, this is all I still talk about. Like, we only talk about, like, the latest manga anime video games. Like, this is literally all we do. So I'm like, why not create a podcast about it? Let our personality shine. And then even after doing a podcast for like a few months, I'm all like, okay, what's the next step? Because I do love podcasts, but I'm about like I still want to one day create my own manga. Well, for in America, it's our comic books. So I want to one day create my own comic book. I want to create my own cartoon show. I want to create still one day my own video game. And so I'm glad like I finally really took that first step into creating the podcast to where like now I've actually starting to map out how to really accomplish these things and not just let it be a dream inside of me. So I want to say shout out to Rocky and Little Brother for doing this with me. And like I said, I know we all love it, but like thank you because I definitely want to take you guys on this journey to you know to create something that we all love, that we all put our heart and soul into, hard earned money and stuff. Like I know it's what we all kind of really enjoy and do, and I want to keep on going.
Well, like you said right there, we love it too. Like you said, we talk about it every day. So it's not like we're going out of our way to like, oh, we got to go all the way out here, or we got to start up a Zoom call, spend an hour of our time to do this. No, we love this. We love to
Yeah,
talk about this.
I actively am okay with telling everybody, "Hey, I'm busy, doing this," and yeah, I don't care what they say. I will put time aside just for this, and I have no problem with it because I like talking about video games or anime or manga.
And this is crazy. I'm gonna drop a little like kind of like a I guess an inspirational thing. it's crazy when you go from something like, you just living your everyday life, or like you wake up and you're like, somebody asks you, oh, what do you got planned today? I don't know. Probably play some video games. It's different. It hits different when you wake up and you tell them like, oh, what you got planned today? Oh, I gotta go. For me, I gotta go hit up my friend where he got his little homemade studio. I gotta record some lines or some scripts for voice acting. Oh, I gotta meet up with a couple of friends so we can do a podcast. It's a whole different feel when you get a whole project started, when you get something that you want to do, or that you actually love doing, and you can tell people like, yo, I'm busy because working on me. I'm working on something that I really like.
I 100% agree. And like during my time skip, like Rocky, like I'm telling you, my guy, like I've really, really mapped out this whole entire game. Like I gotta get with you, bro. Like I just gotta get 30, 45, maybe an hour or two of your time while you're playing the game, and I can just talk in your ear about like how like I came up with all the rest of the characters, how I set it up on the island, the other NPCs, the story, the background. I'm like, bro, whew, I gotta get you. I gotta get you. Just because like I said, it's a passion in me. It's a dream that hasn't died, and I'm all like, I gotta bring it to life. I gotta share this with people. I gotta bring it, so other people can enjoy it just as much as I do.
Definitely. I'm totally down. Uh, yeah. Let me know a good time.
So
Gotcha.
I'd say, yeah. Uh, if anybody was ever like truly wondering why we do what we do, guess what? We just laid it out on this episode.
We really did. That was quite a bit.
Notice me, senpai.
Stop it, you.
Yeah,
Stop it. But KV, is that it?
I think so. That should wrap it up for that part. And with the bell, all right, guys, definitely time to get into our anime, manga, and video games recommendations of the week. And
Recommendations. Who would like to go first?
can I go first?
sure, go ahead.
Well, for my recommendation, I would like to go with a game I've been playing for quite a bit of time. It's called Miss Survival. I've been following this game for a while, since like, yeah, it was really early on actually when it came out, and it's it's just a survival zombie game where you find a house, or you build a little log cabin, and you survive against zombies, so to speak.
My
You can go to
phobia.
place. Yeah, there's zombies in certain areas. There's bears, which are really hard to kill at first. Where I'm at now, they're not a problem. There are bandits, which to this point I'm still waiting for the developer to fix. But the snipers for bandits are broken.
Why you
You
say
could
that?
be across the map behind two trees, and an eye will pop up in your screen, and that means he sees you. He can't hit you because you're behind a tree. But if you run away from cover and you stop moving even once, you're dead. He'll shoot you and you will die.
Jesus.
Uh, the mist is terrifying because if you're like, let's say I'm gonna go scavenging for a bit because you need some more of a metal or something. So you're gonna go to after a few days, stuff respawns. So you go to an area where items are respawned. You get there, next thing you know, the screen turns white and the area just gets filled with mist. That is terrifying. Multiple reasons. The zombies go running around like crazy during that time, and they run at you, and you could lock yourself in a building. I always do it. I always lock myself in a building, and I just hide in a room until the mist is gone. Good thing is they can't open doors, so if you ran into an abandoned house, you can close the door and just sleep on the floor for 2 hours, and you'll wake up and the mist is gone. You never want to be out during the night because they're just as aggressive. Bandits are mean, and he actually had a recent update where he added a farm, a really big area where you could build a house. I thought about moving there, but I decided against it because it's so far away from all the resources. But all in
Hmm.
all, he is good about his updates. He's on 0.4.0.3. It's not as far as it could be, but the game, as I've played, has been fixed quite a bit. There are still problems like I feel like the generator uses too much gas. You can't really get enough gas to fill that generator. It at longest max filled 3 days in game. You could sleep one whole day away in the game. But I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I would definitely say give it a try. Look at it. Uh, I like to play it. Cars are a little bugged. Don't try to stick anything in the trunk if you have a truck. I watched my car fly across the map with my stuff. So yeah, I see screenshots of people doing it. It's like cool, I'll do that. But as soon as I got in the car and drove away, it flicked me out of the car, and the car went flying across the map, and I've never seen it again.
Wow, I'd be a little upset about that.
I was, but it's okay because I have like a SUV that I've made in the beginning of the game, and I've had it with me ever since. But that is my recommendation. Mist Survival. It's on Steam. I think it's like $20.
What would you give it out of 1 to 10?
Considering it's still in early access, I would give it like a 6. Mainly because once you build all your stuff, there's not much to do. I have a farm growing. That's like end game right there. If you could find corn and tomatoes, you're practically end game. AIs, once you save them, they're dumber than rocks. They just stand there. I watched my AI got beat on by zombies, and she doesn't do anything. She doesn't die, but she doesn't do anything. But all in all, the game is fun. It's being updated as you go along. But definitely, I would say about a 6 right now, with a lot of potential.
Okay, I guess that's decent.
Miss Survival. Okay.
KV, you want to go or you want me to go?
I could definitely go. So it's kind of like a, how do I say? It's something I've read kind of like a while ago, and I'm I was just recently kind of wanted to get back into something. I don't know, like I just kind of recently came across it, like again, and so, but like it was a really good one since it's already completed, and I love reading things that aren't too long, drawn out. It's completed. It ran for like a good the manga ran for about a good 2 3 years, well 4 years now that I'm looking at it. It's called Pan Long, and so I was trying to think. I didn't know if this was Chinese or Japanese. So Linley is a young noble of a declining, once powerful clan which dominated the world. He has large aspirations and wants to save his clan. Linley's journey begins with the accident when he discovers a ring. He took a liking to this ring, which had a dragon carved coiling around it. Upon being injured during a battle between two powerful fighters, he discovers that his ring is not what he thought it was and possesses powers beyond his imagination. What this manga was about, um, you would have this one character who wants to be stronger. His clan is in decline, and he magically, luckily, gets this teacher who was trapped inside of a ring for many years. That starts teaching him, earth type magic and stuff. Even though you can learn different types of magic in this world, she was just a master of earth type magic. And so some like the aspects I really liked about it is the scaling. He didn't immediately become overpowered, and he consistently had to train, find better weapons, and get stronger to like overcome a lot of his enemies. And and so his character development too was also pretty good. Even though I believed he was more so always wanting to train versus not spend time with his other little brother or his other family members and stuff. Like, but once again, that's almost every protagonist in almost every anime. Um, it was really good. So just between like how like the fight scenes were, the story progressed about like why he see how his clan was in decline, how he had to go and like fight the church when he found out like the church was the enemy. The other love interest, it wasn't a harem. That was also another great thing I loved about this. It wasn't a harem. Even though he had like maybe a few girls that liked him, he only had one girl, and at the end of the manga, he married her. I was like, perfect. You finally actually see somebody actually marrying the girl that they wanted. And so it also had like a little gap in here where he starts off as a kid, 2 year gap, 3 year gap, 4 year gap of the different levels in time, which he takes to train, where he goes and does different things. Also like once again how he gains like different weapons and stuff. How he's not just always running around killing everybody because he's super OP. He meets a new enemy. He has to train for a while. Or he takes out somebody else, and then like there's always increasing levels. He also finds different companions, which also helps him out too. I don't remember everybody's name from the manga because once again it's been a while and I'm just kind of rereading it. But it's really a good manga if you like, how can I say it? It's action oriented. It's definitely fantasy, drama, a little bit of comedy. It's I'm trying to think. What can I compare it to? Mm, something like 2-3 steps below Bleach, if I would say so. It's really good. Like I really give it a good 8 out of 10.
I was gonna say, as you were going into it, it was very sounded very Sorcerer Apprentice ish.
So even though like he's kind of learning magic, he becomes very well equipped with swords. A great sword, and then like a different type of sword. So he might be learning magic to start off because you're either a mage or you're like a fighter in the whole manga. And so he was almost kind of becoming more of a mage, but after he kind of was like, all right, cool. Being a mage is nice and all, but I'm more like my clan whole bloodline is more akin to up close and personal fighting, which is when he goes and finds like a great sword and like I said, he can still use magic. Like he's still very proficient in magic, but he's like, I would rather hack and slash you with the great sword if I had the choice.
All right.
And so, like, it's really good. I would definitely recommend it if you're into the whole, like I said, the fantasy type of magic thing. So it's better. It's like a grown up adult version of fairy tale with people being killed. That's a good way of saying it. So
Okay.
no fan service. You have the magic stuff just like fairy tale. Everybody's an adult. It's definitely taken more serious, and wouldn't necessarily. I would say a better story too. Damn, it's like fairy tale but better than fairy tale. I would say that. So Panlong, everybody, Panlong.
All right. Cool. 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 No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. That's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference. If you none of you know about that. Okay. From here, I guess I'll go into mine, which is Terraformers. Terraformers is anime during the 21st century. Humanity attempted to colonize Mars by sending two species which could endure a harsh environment of a planet to terraform it. Um, and cockroaches. So wait, what was it?
You gotta tell it right. You gotta tell it. Right. I've seen Terraformers too, and at first I was like, "Who's the enemy, and why did they have to come and do all this?" So go ahead, go ahead.
So they sent cockroaches because if you ever heard the story, if a nuclear bomb went off like in a city and a cockroach would still survive it. Cockroaches apparently can survive harsh environments, and so humanity at this point decided to send cockroaches to Mars to like just see how well they would fare. Turns out they adapted. They adapted and became humanoid beings, pretty much. But not only that, so the Japanese, Americans, Germans, a whole group of like the whole world center or whatever got a group. They had sent one group of just all these team members to go to Mars to like first of all they were supposed to like check it out to see if it was still inhabitable or anything like that, and then turns out there's just a bunch of roaches, bunch of roaches. They sent like a lot of roaches. I don't know how many roaches that they sent, but they sent a lot of roaches, and
It's a whole bunch of roaches.
they kind of pretty much nearly killed that whole group that was there. Yeah, sorry, all the roaches that ended up adapting and evolving also are highly aggressive. They if they see something that's not them, they'll kill it. Um, and this group that had to come back, there's only like a few surviving members, and they came back. They decided to put another group in, and as they're going back, you have to go through this certain procedure or surgery, and it allows you to, I would say, take on the DNA of a maybe another insect, in some special cases, an animal. Um, so honestly, you're fighting a bunch of cockroaches with the DNA of, let's say, a praying mantis, a spider, a moth, a beetle. Like there are a lot of different insects, and I say in some special cases animals because I think there are a few bird characters as well, which I'm still don't understand, but that's okay. Um, so this group comes along and tries to handle the situation of fighting these cockroaches, so they don't come and terraform them instead. Um, Little fun fact also, the way they kind of spell out terraformers, it can also be, if you break it down, it can also be spelled out terror from Mars. And that's just like a little funny fun fact that I always thought about that too.
Terror for Mars or Terror from Mars?
Terror from Mars. And so
Hmm.
this anime was interesting, to say the least. I think KV said that you didn't like it, did you?
So what bothered me about the anime is when I watched the first season, it instantly got me. Like I was all for it. The way that it was drawn and written, like illustrated, and like it kept you on the edge of your seat. Like just because anybody can be killed, doesn't matter how strong you are, how cool they think they look, or whatever, whatever.
Do not get attached to characters.
Yeah, like anybody can be murked off,
Rule one: why I don't
and
watch those animes.
because like you be like cool, you be rooting for somebody, and an episode or two later, like one of the roaches who have this incredible physical strength or whatever will come and just off them like instantly, and you just be thinking, wow, and be
Yeah,
butthurt for the rest of the day.
because it's like, honestly, when I say don't get attached to any of these characters, don't get attached because
Absolutely not.
it's it's bad.
And but what kind of drew me off is during the second season, they the whole drawing and illustration changed. Like I didn't get that same sense of, I want to kind of say, desperation and anxiety that I got in the first one. Like everything and everybody just looked different, and I'm just like, well, this is not what I signed up for, and I don't think they ever made it past the second season.
The second season's finished. I still got to finish the second season, but they definitely are. I think they're in the works of making that third season, but it's not like set in stone, confirmed yet.
Yeah, but Jennifer Mars was pretty good. Like I said, like it's definitely something good for people to watch. I'm definitely interested in see if it has a manga because I probably would read the manga too as well.
To just kind of like go and finish it off. It's a great anime. It's a very intense anime. It if it's not a fairy tale, so like once again, you will lose a character that you get attached to. Um, it's a change of pace. I'll say, like, there are a lot of like kind of lighthearted animes out here. A lot of like just for the story. This one is kind of like it's a lot of like just straight up cutthroat, just gore, and it's really cool.
It's pretty
it's
gory.
it's really cool. But out of my score for it, I'd say an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
I'm comfortable saying an 8 out of 10.
Okay, I feel you. Do we have anything else for today, ladies and gentlemen? Or well, all really just
I was
gentlemen.
going to say, unless you're talking to the fans, there's no ladies in here. But I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
All right. So thank you once again, guys, for listening to another episode of the M.A.V. show.
Thank you guys. This was a very interesting episode. You got to learn a little bit about us, so that was a nice change of pace, I guess.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Always, guys, and always to if you really want to, like, if you really connected with this episode and you really want to like hit us up and like let us know how anime affected you or how video games affected you, you can always hit us up on the Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and leave the reviews there. On the five, you can leave those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from.
Most definitely. And if you guys also want to reach us directly, please hit us up at mavericks at gmail.com. That is MAVREAKS at gmail.com.
Or you can always hit us up at bbemav2020 at gmail.com. That's bbemav2020 at gmail.com.
All right. Thank you, my brothers, for doing another podcast with me. Thank you for the audience for listening.
Another
thank
one
you.
down, episode 22. Guess what? Season 2 in its works.
Season 2 will be dropping at the end of this year. Can't wait, baby. Can't wait.
Oh, by the way, I know this is a manga, anime, video games podcast, but I just want to express my excitement. The Cowboys are gonna go to the Super Bowl this year.
Most of the people who are probably listening are like, we do not care about sports. But guess what?
How I
Guess
feel
what?
right now.
They're like, we came
But it
here
doesn't
for.
matter. We're going to the Super Bowl. I don't care how many times we say it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
I feel like if the people, the good people who come to the end of the podcast right here, they're like, "Good sir, we have not come here to be hoodwinked. We came here for manga, anime, and video games."
Yeah, that sounds about me. I'd be like, oh, look, to talk about sports and podcast over.
But all right, guys, thank you again once for listening. We will see you next week.
Peace.
Bye bye.